Tim Burton is a director with plenty of weird and wacky creations that make for captivating stories, characters that polarize, scare, and entertain. But today I'm talking about one of his lesser known works, Big Fish, the story of Edward Bloom and his son Will. Ever since Will was young, he's been told stories about his father's life, all of which have seemingly impossible characteristics. And at the start of this movie, we are confronted with the fact that Edward Bloom, Will's dad and the character we spend most of the story with, is on his deathbed. The rest of the wonder and chaos this movie has is given to us through the stories of Edward Bloom on his deathbed and flashbacks to when Will was a boy. There is so much peculiarity about these stories. Some of them are very dark and others hold this sense of melancholy that stays with you. This film has always left an impression on me just for being so weird and wonderful. You lose the sense of realism, but it almost doesn't matter. You find yourself rationalizing the irrational, justifying the unjustifiable, believing the unbelievable. One of the main stories is about Edward Bloom's big journey out of his hometown and into the unknown. He comes across a town on the way there called Spectre, a place that I think symbolizes something to lure Bloom away from his journey, the perfect resting place, a real symbol of somewhere that could leave you happy and also unaccomplished for the rest of your life. There's a poet that doesn't get past writing his first lines. Everyone is barefoot, no one looking at moving on. They all seem comfortable. A place like this is a lot more scary than it first seems. The same is true but the opposite for other characters like the witch, who Edward Bloom talks about in his stories as a scary figure who can show you how you will die. But we discovered that this character, like others, actually in reality are a bit more normal than in Edward's stories. Edward Bloom as a character in his own perspective is this hero liked by all, almost like the knight in his own tale. He goes to war and completes a mission faster than anyone else, also he can be back with his love that little bit faster. Sandra Templeton is Edward Bloom's happily ever after. The first time he sees her is when he decides to dedicate his whole life to her, giving him meaning and a sense of drive. Sandra is a little two-dimensional, but she plays this role in the film of someone in reality who knows the true Bloom, and admires him in his own legends, and it just works. The power of stories is a real core theme, and the way it manifests itself is so integral that if there was no secondary storytelling layer, the whole thing would fall apart. The effectiveness it holds is tied to our attraction to tall tales as people. The story is woven together and goes back and forth so tidily like a grand tapestry. It keeps you engaged every step of the way. The cinematography is beautiful, some of the nicest use of color theory and lo-fi special effects in films of that era, elegant framing, and ever more interesting camera placing. The deepest theme is the father and son relationship of Edward Bloom and his son Will. They struggle to stay close because of the storytelling Edward loves to focus on, instead of giving people the more mundane reality of situations. This alienates him from Will because all he wants to know is the real version of his father, the man behind all of the stories. The Big Fish one, for example, itself is an excuse for why Edward was not there for his son's birth. All of these tales become almost this defense shield for Bloom Sr. Ultimately, they reconcile because Will understands that they do share the love for telling stories, and that his father aims to immortalize himself through spreading his past amongst his family and friends, giving everyone something to remember him by. As I said before, this film is beautiful, and also weird and sometimes melancholic. It's a story about closure and understanding differences, accepting the past, embracing the future, not getting caught up in lulls of progress. It has a killer cast, and everyone puts their all into their performances. Tim Burton's direction gives the movie this quirkiness and stylistic flair that otherwise just wouldn't be there. So many of the ways everything is laid out is all credited to Burton's dedication to making it an immortal piece of art. And so furthermore, Big Fish is a great movie, with its flaws, but in the end, the wonder shines through, like Bloom's stories brighten up his life. A mix of wonder, master storytelling, and some weirdness sprinkled in too gives us a great cinematic experience that holds up very well. I think that this movie is criminally underrated, and it deserves more recognition for being effective in the story it tells. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and I'll keep them coming. Also, subscribe if you're new here and you like what I do. But for now, see y'all next time.